Hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we're doing the 14th recipe from the cherry cheesecake murder. It is the last recipe in this book. It is called the Ooey, Gooey, Chewy cookie bars. It has a little bit more of the last little note right here. The first thing is we are preheating the oven to 350. After this, you're going to want 2 sets of ingredients, one for the crust and one for the filling. For the crust, you're going to want half a cup white granulated sugar, 3/4 cups flour, not sifted, 1/3 of a cup unsweetened baking cocoa. I used Hershey's. There is a note. I did not listen to this note until it was already too late. But it says you can find unsweetened baking cocoa in the baking aisle of your grocery store. Make sure you get an American brand. Some of the others are Dutch processed and they won't work in this recipe. Also be careful not to get cocoa mix, the kind you'd use to make hot chocolate or chocolate milk. Yeah, I put everything out and I realized I started reading what to do with the recipe and I saw do not use Dutch processed and right there on the bag, Dutch processed for mine. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I had to dig through my cabinets to find the Hershey. Right, you're gonna want 1/4 teaspoon of salt and half a stick melted butter, 1/4 cup, 1/8 pound. The thing with the melted butter though is when you make the crust, it has a note that you can also do this in the food processor using chilled butter and the steel blade. So if you're gonna put it in the food processor, do not melt the butter. For the filling, you're gonna want 2 cups of milk chocolate chips. I use Ghirardelli's. 3 cups miniature marshmallows, pack them down in the cup. I did not realize how hard it was to measure and pack into a cup mini marshmallows. I'd rather them just like give us a weight or an ounce or something. 1.5 cups flaked coconut, pack it down when you measure it. 1 cup chopped nuts, use either pecans or walnuts. I used pecans personally. 1 can sweetened condensed milk, that's 14 ounces. So you're gonna mix all the crust ingredients in the food processor until it resembles small beads. Spray a 9x13 with nonstick spray. Push it in, spread it out. Then you're just going to layer in the filling ingredients, bake it off for 25 minutes, and you have to let them cool down. It says, warning, don't refrigerate these cookie bars without cutting them first. They're very dense and solid when chilled. A note from Edna Ferguson, the queen of cheap recipes. If you want a shortcut for the crust, just buy a chocolate cake mix and use half of it dry mixed with a melted stick of butter. Keep the rest of the cake mix in an airtight bag and you can use it the next time you bake them. Kids really love these cookie bars, especially the name. Everything is all laid out in the kitchen. Let's get in there and get started. Here is everything we're going to be using today. The first thing we're going to do is make the crust. So that's the sugar, the flour, the unsweetened cocoa, the salt. Now I'm just going to give this a couple of pulses to get it combined and then I'm going to toss in the butter. I don't know if this works. Yeah, this is not small beads at all. Not quite sure where the butter went. I mean, if pushed together, it sticks. All right, so we have our sprayed 9x13. We have our crust mix. It says just to dump it in, shake it out, and then push it down the metal spatula. Next, we take the milk chocolate chips and the marshmallows. Over this, we have our flaked coconut. All right, next we have the nuts. I personally use the pecans. Get our spatula back. And pour the sweetened condensed milk evenly over the top. So this is what we have right now. It's going to go in the 350 oven for 25 minutes, and then we're going to let it cool and cut it up. So they're out of the oven. I've given them some time to cool off. I've cut them up. I just want to start off by saying these are definitely ooey. They are definitely gooey. Are they chewy? We will find out. But they are for sure sticky. Ooey, gooey, and chewy. They are very accurate with their naming. That is really, really good. It reminds me of the Samoa Girl Scout cookies. God, those are so good. I like this a lot. If you don't like coconut, you're not gonna like it at all. I kind of wish that they had put the blender recipe thing where you cut the coconut down in a blender. Kind of. I have liked the less flakiness in the last couple of coconut recipes we've done where they've had us put it in the blender. This is definitely a keeper for me though. I love it. It's so good. Now, next week, we're getting into the story, The 12 Desserts of Christmas. It's technically 8.5 according to Goodreads. And you can find this in 2 separate books. Sugar and Spice, I believe, is the name of the other one. But with this, however, there are, I think, 12 desserts in total in the book. However, only 2 of them are actually unique to the story, The 12 Desserts of Christmas. That's the Bonbon Brownies, which we'll be making next week, and the Double Apple Crisp, which is what we'll be making the week after that. So if you're interested in seeing either of those, stay tuned for the 12 Desserts of Christmas.